Thanks, Chair. Brian, how are you? First of all, you said 6 months, but there can be something on an interim basis. What do you see on an interim basis? Second of all, am I correct in saying that this basically has been foisted upon you, that the Department of Environment actually is the department that should be looking after it, and Arts, Heritage and Gaeltacht, your department, had to take it where there was kicking of the can down the road? Thirdly, do you see, Brian, and look at you and I have met many a time about different European law and all of that, say, can the threshold on the 30 hectares be risen up, or why was it set at 30 hectares? Can that be risen up, that just say to 100 hectares, that could actually allow a lot of the operators in different complexes or different bogs around the country, that they could work? I think the distinction is to be made that it's mill and peat we are now. You said at one stage the turf cutting season. The turf cutting season is going ahead regardless. But in the line of mill and peat, is there something that can be done there? And have you to go through what I talked about, and look at me and you've talked about this many a time, with the Habitats Directive, the screening out, the IA appropriate assessment, all this thing that's stemming from the Habitats Directive and the 15-kilometre buffer zone. Have you to go through all that, or is there a simpler consent, or has the High Court case, have you to do new legislation? And if you're doing new legislation, how long will that take? Or is there a derogation that can be given with Europe? These are the questions I have for you.
Okay, thanks, Deputy Fitzmaurice. Mr. Lucas.
Some of those questions are more easier for me to answer than others. First of all, I suppose the job of the Department of Housing, Local Government and Heritage, as I said, we're here to try and facilitate solutions to a problem that has been very well articulated by deputies and senators and by the previous witnesses. The reason why we have become involved in this is that it's an action in the National Peatland Strategy, as I said, to do the review of peat moss and horticulture, but we did, and then this is the follow-up to that review. I suppose my problem about talking about legislation, first of all, is if we're talking about environmental impact assessment and the EPA licensing and our integrated pollution control licensing, so on, that comes under the remit of another government department, and I'm a bit reluctant to kind of move into that territory, fair area that doesn't come in my remit. I think it's fair to say, I think the 30 hectare, basically what Deputy Fitzmaurice was referring to, if you go over, if for 30 hectares or more for peat extraction, you need to undertake an environmental impact assessment. And I don't think there's any way round that. This is coming from EU law. How you do it, maybe that's how we implement the legislation in Ireland. That's Europe doesn't really mind so long as we implement the legislation. But I don't think getting over the 30 hectares is possible. You can't bring it to 100. I don't think that's possible. Now, I'm saying this for someone, as I said at the beginning, Chair, that it's not my legislation. But I don't think it's possible to get around the 30 hectares limit, subject to it's not my area of expertise. On the appropriate assessment, it may be possible to do an appropriate, like these are non-designated bogs, so we're not talking about, and like my main function would be the designated sites, but these are not designated bogs. So it may be possible for at least some of these sites, I don't know, to do process of screening, and they might screen out for needing a full appropriate assessment. Like we've done that before for relocating to Turk or to non-designated bogs. We did appropriate assessment screening and show no impact on the non-designated site. I think I think if it's over 30 hectares, then there would need to be a full environmental impact assessment. I think I covered. Okay. Yeah, I think I covered the points. Okay. But I do think as well, look, we need to get going on this quickly and see if there's a legislation solution quickly. So I think we could probably get the working group up and running by the end of the month, early next month. And that'll be the first item on the agenda, subject to what the Chair agreeing with me.
Okay.